What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having an unbelievable week. It's Justin Jackson here again. I think a lot of times you can kind of look over games like North Carolina is about to have against a team like LaSalle on Saturday. But I think there's a real importance to this game. I kind of consider it a tune up game. And I think for me, this game is all about creating and building consistent habits. Um, you go through the whole offseason, preseason, start of the season, and you're just kind of trying to find what is the identity of this team. And you're trying to figure out how new guys fit in, how freshmen find their niche, how guys like RJ and Seth and Elliott, the returners from years before, how do they kind of take on a leadership role? I think this is the perfect game for all of that to come together. I'm sure all week, Coach Davis and that coaching staff have had certain things that they wanted to work on in practice, and just trying to button up things for games beyond LaSalle. After this game, they go into two games against two top 25 teams, one of which is a top 10 team in Florida. And so, what does it kind of look like going into this game on Saturday? I think for me, I'm going to be watching. Can North Carolina get back to taking care of the ball? A guy like Elliott, who the first four games of the season looked like he had taken that next step and even more, in being able to take care of the ball, make plays for other guys, and just make the game so much easier for guys like RJ and Seth and everybody else involved. And the last five games, I think there's kind of been a step back, in just taking care of the ball, careless turnovers, trying to make plays that aren't necessarily there, things like that. So I think for me, I'm going to be looking for, can he get back to that confidence and getting downhill and just creating and playmaking that we saw kind of through those first four games or so. Um, I think the other is, can they continue to be consistent on the defensive end? I think against Georgia Tech, I think that was one area that they really did key in on, and I think they did a great job of keeping that intensity, keeping that effort, the energy, um, kind of throughout the game. And I think you saw at times they threw some jump traps and some pressures, and to kind of take Georgia Tech out of what they wanted, and they ended up holding them to 39% from the field. And so going into this LaSalle game, can they continue that? Can they also add a little bit more of a little bit bigger level of physicality and hitting first, and guards getting over the screens and not just dying to where the bigs are in bad situations? Can they be that team on a consistent basis? And then I think the last point for me is just, can a guy like RJ, which I think this team has to have to make it to a very successful level, can he kind of find his way and get into a rhythm in a game like this? Can this team kind of create, better opportunities and more open looks for him, to kind of get his feeling back, get the rhythm back, get the confidence all the way back, like we've seen him last year and even at times throughout this season. I think that's going to be big for this team going forward, is having an RJ Davis, who is an RJ Davis, ACC Player of the Year, first team All American, a guy that can go for 30 at any point in time. So I think for me, going into this LaSalle game, it's a perfect tune-up game, and it's an opportunity to go against, once again, another team that's not your own teammates, that you can go as hard as possible, and while also working on these habits, and creating some consistency in those areas.